As an affiliated union to the National Union of Students, NUS UK, USU sends 6 delegates to the NUS National Conference. Delegates represent students' views on a national level, decide on priorities and policies, and elect the NUS leaders for the following year.
Low turnout from students in York. What makes you think that NUS Delegate is a role that we really need right now? Because I think most students struggle to really understand what it's for and what it does for them.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. That's in my 60-second manifesto. I know for a fact that a lot of students don't really relate to the NUS. But to be honest, the answer is the NUS is really important. The NUS is an entity that USU is and remains a part of, advocates for students nationally. And as NUS delegates are part of the people that set the agenda for the NUS for the next year. They help choose the leadership and the direction in which the NUS is going to go for the next 12 months. The NUS has been through a challenging time this year. It's been in the news. It's not all been good as well. So it's really important that we send delegates who can advocate appropriately for what young students at York need, so that our interests are in the agenda of the NUS for the next year moving forward.
And you've mentioned wanting to push forward policies regarding housing for students. How exactly would that work? Are you just saying that you'd push forward policies brought by other people, or do you specifically have a plan, you think, to help with the current housing issues?
As obviously this is my first time being a delegate, hands up on that. What I mean, my manifesto, I'm talking about kind of supporting things. So I'm talking about we're going to go and we get to vote on kind of what's going to happen for the next 12 months. I'm really keen to make sure that we're voting on things that are going to help with the housing crisis, any policies to reduce cost of living, because I'm aware that is an acute issue for students here.
Yeah, and with your inclusivity policies, you said you wanted to increase inclusivity of all ranges of diversity within the NUS and the uni. How necessarily would that work? How does improving inclusivity in the NUS be something that you can contribute to from York?
Well, I think I'll be highly surprised if inclusivity is not high on the NUS agenda this year, particularly after the anti-Semitism report. So it's going to be high on the agenda. It's going to be talked about. Every recommendation in that report needs to be voted through. And as a delegate, I can support all those and those recommendations. Making the NUS more inclusive means that the NUS as an entity is then advocating on an inclusive platform, and advocating for students in a way that is inclusive, and that can only have a positive impact on the inclusivity we see at universities in the future.
You worked as a faculty rep. I've done work as a course rep before, and honestly, I didn't feel represented or like anything I pushed actually went anywhere. How much work as an NUS representative will actually have a day-to-day effect in York?
That's hard to say, because that is partly depicted by what the government choose to do on the basis of NUS campaigning. And obviously no one at the NUS controls what the government chooses to do on the back of NUS lobbying. But what we can do is make sure that what the NUS stands for represents what students here stand for. So NUS successes should have, in theory, a positive impact on students here.
Great. And finally, what makes you believe you're the ideal candidate for this position?
It's an interesting way you say ideal candidate, because NUS delegates work as a group, and there'll be a group of us. I think what's important is that we have candidates that are different and unique. I'm one of the only candidates that comes from kind of the academic side of things. I bring a different perspective. And I'm one of the only people who's running who hasn't been there before, so I have some new ideas, maybe some new ways of thinking that could be useful.
And what was, aside from your housing policies and obviously the inclusivity, is there anything else you really want to push forward with this that you really want to see from the NUS?
I think the NUS needs to be looking at trying to convince both sides of our current striking dispute to be getting round to the table and getting a resolution. Because regardless of what any students think about strikes, and we all have different opinions about whether or not lecturers should be striking, we do all want to be in class, paying for getting the education that we are paying for, and a resolution is what's going to get us to that. So the NUS should be pushing for that.
Great, thank you so much for that. I don't know if we have any more time for any more questions, but thank you so much. We will be continuing to do this throughout the night. Hashtag CIN 2023, I believe. And yeah.
Thanks.